Hello and welcome to D-SETI. This is the introduction to the video series, The Universal Language. This is about dreamwork, not just math, art, not just science, and knowing, not just codes. And we are going to know about crop circles, anomalous body markings, and UAP sightings as discerned through a ruler and compass method of geometric analysis. So it's when we perform congruence testing between these anomalous marks like crop circles, like marks on the body, with simple ruler and compass methods of geometry, we're actually proving intelligent design like we know it. Although we don't necessarily prove the more extraordinary hypothesis like extraterrestrial engagement, we are proving intelligent design in the communication because the congruence proves that we are dealing with a mathematical, geometric, and non-accidental object. So most of the geometries presented in the series are actually associated with dreams of ETs. This might be a slight association, as in the case of crop circles, that sometimes inspire these dreams or sometimes are actually witnessed by people that we now understand as dreamlike experiences. And it's really important to know that I was explicitly guided by my dreams of extraterrestrial beings to learn and apply the art and science of ruler and compass geometry to this subject matter. All right, so we're talking about crop circles. Here's an example of one of the analysis I did of a crop circle in England. We see that this is based on the regular octahedron, the octagon, and the different pattern is shown up by highlighting different of the intersection areas, right? So that's really amazing. We're going to talk about the red grid mark phenomena, which takes the same geometry, very, very similar geometry, casts it into a grid and puts it anomalously upon thousands of people's bodies who receive these regular grid mark patterns that are sometimes geometric, much more geometric and creative in nature, that are mysterious and associated with extraterrestrial dreams, even though sometimes these happen during the day. And now we have the novel phenomenon dots in a line. I am acronyming this DIAL, D-I-A-L. These are regular dots that look like puncture wounds that are set in regular intervals and proportions on the bodies of people who seem to have extraterrestrial dreams. And in this case, it seems to me to be associated with something like a CE5 invitation. So that means human initiated contact experience. This means we're not dealing with abduction. We're also dealing with this sort of geometry being expressed through UAP sightings. Here is a very recent video from Jimmy Blanchette, who produces the YouTube channel CE5 videos. The subtitle of this video says, "The intelligence producing geometric shapes on demand contains information about the keys of our universe." The proportions on the cover of this video are extremely similar to the dots in the line, and particularly the last slide I showed you, which was literally the Giza pyramid proportions in dots in a line. Very, very interesting. It's also communicative through synchronicity. I can't tell you how many marks have come across my path through something like synchronicity. This is a screenshot of the ET Let's Talk Facebook group where I had posted about anomalous geometry and body marks. At the same time, Jimmy Blanchette posted this. Costa Macris approved those in the same moment, and we have both of these posts surfacing within minutes of each other on the news feed. It's really interesting to note that we've been holding on to this data for months or years in the case of Jimmy with Linda's video. So the analysis is really coming forward this week. This is hot off the synchronicity presses, let's say. It's also present in Renaissance codes. So if you want to look to historic precedents for what might be in here, please do check out tobeornotttobe.org. Once again, these codes reference the pyramids of Giza. They show up when you look at proportions of dots. In this case, this is dots along a circle. So it's dots in a circle, not dots in a line, but it is extremely similar communication. So let's cover some of the extraordinary question mark hypotheses. I'm saying, are these extraordinary hypotheses given the congruence testing that I can see, that other geometric researchers are seeing in these phenomena? So we see that geometry is a universal language across these multiple modes of anomalous markings, crop circles, marks on the body, and also we see corroboration in UAP sightings. The marks are describable through simple ruler and compass method geometries. I'm not talking about hypermetacubes that you have to learn years of geometry to do, or periodolia where you're seeing figures and faces in clouds or marks. I'm talking about simple ruler and method proportion constructions and geometries that are directly overlaid upon these anomalous markings that you can see with your eyes. It's very, very fascinating, but this supports an intelligent and intentional design. So we're now not thinking that the bed bugs are biting people in golden ratio and that sort of thing. It doesn't make any sense to have accidental perfect geometric communications. There's only one explanation here when we're dealing with mathematical objects, is we're dealing with a mathematical intelligence like we are mathematical intelligences. And it seems that we are in a rather advanced phase of communication. I know exactly kind of what the NHI associated with my marking is telling me, because I have documented it in many different forms of communication: art, channeling, journaling, dream journaling, all sorts of things like that. So regression hypnosis. We have Jimmy Blanchett's experience. He has communications through geometry with beings that respond. And his work is mediated through radio communications. We've got the red grid mark phenomena and the dial experiencers. They are all engaged in some level, or some of them actually are engaged in some level of communication. And so we really need to bring these dreamlike communications to the table to say, hey, actually, we have all these anomalous markings. What is the context? There is a psychological, a psychical context of extraterrestrial interaction that feels imaginal or dreamlike, or actually is consciously remembered, associated with these markings. So why don't we bring that into the dialogue? And that's what I'm doing in this series. So it's really important to know that all of these phenomena are dreamlike in nature. Dreams and dreamlike experiences can be triggering, taboo. So please be mindful as you're exploring this series with me. These might bring up memories of your own experiences. If you've had anomalous markings on your body, you may be triggered in the memories of how you got them. However, I'm sharing my testimony, which I feel is relatively significant given that I'm a PhD student in integral noetic science with anomalous concentration. I hold a certificate in hypnotherapy, a master's degree in East-West psychology, and a bachelor's degree in the history and philosophy of math and science, and I've been marked on my body with a geometric proportion associated with extraterrestrial dreams. I say this is not abduction. I say these are intelligent, empathic, and creative communicators that are working with us through multiple modes of communication, and therefore we need to listen to them. How can we do that? Well, ethical dreamwork provides several principles we need to respect. This is the respect of the dreamer as the authority regarding the significance of the dream. So all of the people who are suggesting that the person who is marked, that someone who had these experiences don't know what they're talking about and can't run through the standard debunking tests of bed bugs or marks from something else that are likewise geometrical, right? We've done all this stuff. Please respect us when we say this is anomalous communication. And these geometric proofs should really add credence to that ethical principle I am asking you to respect. Second, we have to respect the dream as a multidimensional source of meaning. This means that it is not just historic testimony, but it can be a recurrent source of meaning. The same thing with these geometric codes. There's not just one concrete objective meaning. These are like art. They generate, right? So we can read geometric codes in art and discover new information about the world or culture, but we can also just contemplate them and work with it and feel inspired by it and reveal meaning to us in our lives and culture. That's what I'm asking you to do with these, not necessarily make historic or scientific judgment even about these. And finally, if you're going to study this subject matter, you need to do dream work yourself. Non-human intelligence contact, dreams, messages, and geometry will not make sense to you unless you are working with your dreams and dreamlike experiences yourself. Good thing is you can do this through very simple paths of mindfulness, lucid dreaming practice, working with your dreams in standard ways, or even you might consider going into CE5. Finally, all of the photos in the series of markings on the body are given to me through social media, or I've taken them from research groups that have been offered publicly in order for insight to arise. So it's important to know I'm not a forensic investigator, but I did go through a process of discernment. I suspect probably about 5% of the anomalous body markings are actually something other than an anomalous body marking that's just unidentified. And this figure comes from the previous work of experientialdreaming.com, investigation into the red grid mark phenomena, as well as, So if one is just from non-human intelligence, if just one is, all of this is game-changing. So please do continue to explore. So this whole thing involves my story. It involves dreams and strange things. Please be mindful. It's triggering taboo. I am only making common sense historic claims based on documented evidence as minimally as I can, because the implications of some of these dream stories are rather significant regarding the extraterrestrial engagement hypothesis. I am not making claims for that hypothesis. Even though I am leaning towards that, I cannot make those claims because there isn't enough objective data in that way that we need to make those claims. However, I am claiming that these anomalous markings are geometric objects and that we can discern the nature and qualities of intelligence from these markings, and that these markings seem to indicate a communicative rapport between non-human intelligences and human intelligences, often mediated through dreams. So this is something that comes through objective and documented data. In this case, these are communications on social media groups, communications to me, my own personal dream work. We now need to collect all of that objective data and documentation into an open data set that we can use to produce these larger scale claims. And that's what I want to do with D-SETI. That is why I am a PhD student in an academic accredited program studying these things. So the point isn't for you to believe me, but to inspire your own inquiry and your own collaboration in discovery and contact. All right, so we need to cover this story, and then the future presentations in this video series will deep dive into some of these phenomena. That's really important to know. So in 2020, I started focusing on non-human intelligence contact, missing time, spiritual counseling, dream work in that. I worked with fascinating missing time cases. I'm still doing that work. I love it. I actually think it's dream work, not hypnosis, and I have a lot of theories about that I am sharing, along with literature reviews that are based in APA, that's American Psychological Association publications. So in 2022, this summer, I did a CE5 group regarding dreams. I also did an explicit CE5 invitation to the red grid mark phenomenon mark makers to communicate with me. They didn't communicate with red grid mark, but something else somewhat related. On the solstice, on the June 20th, I discovered a mark on my body. In August, I had a regression regarding a non-human intelligence that is the source of these things. That's what he's claiming. That's what I would agree with. And the hypnotist had a mark on the body within a week of that session. In the fall, I had a dream series with that NHI regarding dream shamanism and alien abduction. We worked together, it seemed, to produce a 20-page academic paper about this subject matter. And so this may be sort of kind of an interaction with dreaming, like Robert Louis Stevenson interacted with his dreams to produce all of the plots of his novels and things like that, or all of the, it might be something like that. And if it is, that's still amazing, because I'm saying I'm producing a lot of content that is academically valid and offers new insights to the world, as well as meaningful literature reviews of peer-reviewed journals. So that's actually a meaningful engagement, and if it so happens to be inspired by extraterrestrial dreams from a character that seems to be able to write on my body in anomalous ways, so be it. So at the end of 2022, this is several weeks ago now, maybe 2 weeks, it's the 8th of January, so this is about 16 days or so. 18 days. I started to have I started to do these dreams regarding geometry. They came to me, the dream people, I called them, the ETs. They said, we want to work with you. You need to work with us. And I said, okay, I'll work with you. I'll do dreams. I'll do CE5s. I'll do this thing. And then accidentally I started doing sacred geometry practice, and the next night they said, you did exactly what we wanted you. Thank you so much for listening to our direct instruction and for actually just doing what we told you. Please continue to do this. We will help you and work with you. And I literally just did the geometries my dreams presented me. They were very strange dreams of geometry. And they got to the point of being capable of analyzing crop circles. In January 2nd, 2024, this is 6 days ago, I did my first analysis of my own dots in a line phenomena and said, oh my god, there is a code here, and I looked to see elsewhere and I found similar messages, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. Alright, dots in a line, this is what it looks like, 3 regular dots on the left. We've got this sort of, on the right, this sort of weird marking. I knew there would be some significance in there. As it healed, I could see these puncture wound type experiences happening. These images really helped me understand the ratio of the dots to the line, as well as where the placements of those dots are. I have several photos from a variety of spaces and healings and angles to really help reconstruct this image, because the rightmost is sort of clear but not exactly. Luckily, there are much more clear examples of this phenomena that we can rely upon. After I received the mark, the NHI really did want me to communicate about that experience and the theories associated with it. You can see that presentation on the video series Missing Time Found on my YouTube channel that is called Stigma and Stigmata, Mysterious Marks on the Body from UAP and Non-Human Intelligence Missing Time. So this puts forward the theory regarding dream shamanism, that regression hypnosis is something like dreamwork, and that the state of consciousness in the non-human intelligence interactions is something like a dream in itself. It's important to note that all this work is coming out of an inquiry, or after an inquiry I'm calling Dee Code. You can get to that information at dcode.org. This is seeing very similar types of codes being encoded within the 16th century work of Dr. John Dee, who was central to the formation of the British Empire and the colonization of the New World. So this is an interesting course. This talks about the historic precedent for non-human intelligence contact, even so far as politicians having exotic materials from strange places. This has all been discussed. Nothing new is under the sun. I would encourage anyone who is interested in the UAP disclosure experience associated with the United States Empire to check out the work of the formation of the British Empire and the engagement of non-human intelligences. And it's documented, and I point to it at dcode.org. This is the academic work I talked about. This is the 20-page paper. It has a lot of references from the APA publications, and it puts forward literature reviews regarding alien abduction, shamanic dreamwork, hypnosis, and offers the notion that shamanic dreamwork is the precedent for alien abduction hypnosis, as well as the precedent for the non-human intelligence contact experience. These are some examples of my geometric dreams. This is one of the first ones I really resonated with the dream geometers. Like this is one of the things. I was inspired by the first dream to really start drawing it out, and this is one of the figures. Not perfect. I have several others that came up. This is entity communications. This is an example of a dream encounter. I dreamed of yetis, so snow beasts in white ponchos on white snow fields, with a sense of 12 and 2 about them, right? Like that's the kind of dream I'm getting. I go, how do I even relate to it? And so working with several different explorations, this is what I came to. And it doesn't make sense logically, but it is a creative journey. All right. After that, I did the geometric analysis. So if you remember the dots in the line, like I said, I used several different photos. I did ruler and method compass of analysis, and I did congruence testing, meaning I placed these images together on a window to see do they line up or not, and lo and behold, they do. And that this geometric construction explains all of the photos that I have of that. It matches them. You go, oh, this doesn't match exactly because obviously the skin or the angle is different, but given this set of, I don't know, a dozen or so photos, like there's a clear congruence, and this is the sort of congruence testing I do with all of the marks on the body and crop circles and things like that. We're going to talk about ruler and compass geometry. That's huge. Crop circles, red grid mark phenomena, dial, as well as point to the Bard code, which we talked a little about, the Renaissance codes, as well as UAP sightings and radio data. And then finally, I will talk about how to find meaning in anomalous geometry like this. So what does this all mean? It really implies that we are dealing with geometric objects and not just accidents or artifacts from physical encounters or procedures. This is less of evidence that we are dealing with alien abduction and more evidence that we are dealing with mathematically intelligent, capable, and empathetic intelligences than anything else. The mark makers are intelligent and presumed to be life like we know it. This is intelligence like we know it. They might be sneaky humans, they might be dream entities, they might be ETs, or something else entirely. They are observant and have an effective theory of our mind, meaning they are communicating in ways that we can discern through these simple methods. And they express through objective, interpersonal, and subjective means of communication. So you have a mark on your body, you likely have synchronicity or dream or something else happening. So please do open your vision around that. Association with CE5 and intentional contact means that that they are contacting us back, that we are in conversation. We are in the later stages of a documented and meaningful communication. So pointing to Jimmy Blanchett's work, he's interpreting work that was done years ago. So this is really important to know. The understanding I got to was happened 6 months to the day. Right, mark on the body 6 months right before I started this dream series that brought the encoding. So I'm dealing with marks that are years old and brand new. So this is really important. This comes from the D-SETI. That's the brand I'm using for dreamwork associated with extraterrestrial intelligence. It stands for either the dream search or dream studies of extraterrestrial intelligence, depending on your perspective. ET contact is a dreamlike experience, and therefore D-SETI honors the reality of dreams by respecting you, the dreamer, as the final authority regarding the significance of your dream, including ontological. So D-SETI offers dreamwork sessions and educations through the work of me, Daniel Rection. I hold a MA in East-West Psychology, certificate in hypnotherapy, depth hypnosis, beyond quantum healing certification, and I'm a PhD student in integral noetic sciences at California Institute for Human Science. So it is important to note that all of this is triggering and taboo and projection prone. So please be mindful. If you want to know more, you can reach out to me or continue on in this video series. Thank you so much for being with me as I presented this information. This is a rather strange course, as well as it isn't necessarily obvious from seeing circles drawn on strange body marks. It feels like, oh, someone's just finding more meaning than actually is there. And in this case, if that's what you're feeling like, just know that I am not inviting you to believe my contact experience. I actually believe and feel and see in this data that contact experiences are available to anyone who asks for them and wants them. They just might not look like what you expect. So you have to be super observant and you have to listen to the subtle promptings. I thought I was actually being guided to produce sort of an ASMR style sacred geometry series of drawing all the regular polygons. That's what I thought I was doing when I was exploring sacred geometry. I didn't realize it was leading toward this geometric analysis. So you have to be engaged in multiple modes of life in order to follow the promptings and communications of these beings. They're not just mathematical beings. That's the message here. They can be known if you engage in mindfulness and intentionality in your contact experiences, right? These are dreamlike experiences, and therefore you need to develop the skill of remembering your dreams and being mindful and being able to single-pointed concentration hold a lucid intent for these contacts. I say that, but myself, I actually am, it seems, assisted in the experience. They want to give me this information. I feel sort of led on a journey, and I'm okay with that. And perhaps that's part of the practice. So once again, thank you for being here. I hope that this inspires you to continue your own life-changing journey, whatever that is. If you can find meaning in the codes that the universe is communicating with you, that your unconscious mind is communicating with you, you will be led to a feeling of wholeness, of peace, of well-being, of connection with self and others. So thank you for doing that.